You're listening to the Money Mike Syndicated Radio Podcast, and folks, I had a treat. I had an opportunity to watch the New York Liberty play the Connecticut Sun, and man, oh man, are they getting after it. You know, the Connecticut Sun were undefeated, and the Liberty came in, they battled back and forth, and really took them down 82-75. And I'm going to bring the highlights to you on this one. But what I did see is Brenna Stewart, five-star player. I mean, just working both ends of the floor. The Liberty, both teams worked their continuity. This was a kind of a match between two heavyweights, and they wanted to see who could punch each other in the eye first, but you've got some superstars that are competing out on that court, and really just a lot of balance on the floor, and that's what I saw. So take a look at these highlights. New York Liberty, Connecticut Sun. What I did notice is the Sun played their game. They allowed the Liberty to play their game. They kind of played head-to-head for three quarters, last 5 minutes. Liberty took it down, and I think Liberty are positioning themselves to go ahead and be the WNBA champions this year. Take a look, folks.
Pressure she was getting defensively to find wide open Tiffany Hayes.
Here's Ionescu. Sets up Jones. Jones with space late.
And folks, I'd be totally surprised this year if the New York Liberty do not win the championship. Only reason I go there is they're just too fully loaded. And when you look at, but the Lady Hamilton, that's a two-way player that gets after it. I mean, I'm going to show you a highlight here of Jonquel Jones. I mean, you're talking 33 minutes, 29 points. I mean, the New York Liberty are just sitting there just fully loaded, executing through the offense, continuity, working both sides of the floor. I mean, take a look at Jonquel Jones, how powerful she is. Sets the pick, rolls off of it, clears space, goes down in the bucket, and that's just a load. Take a look, folks. So, folks, you're talking about the New York Liberty, and they got a loaded roster. You're talking about Thornton, Lady Hamilton, Stewart, Jones, Ionescu. I mean, you're talking about players that they work through the continuity of the offense. They're going to make you play defense, and they're going to force you into team defense where they execute so well. And when you look at that, now the Connecticut Sun, they battled out. I mean, I'm very impressed. They were undefeated, first loss. And you look at what happened. Obviously, the Liberty took that one and got it on the road. And when you get road victories, and as this WNBA season starts to shape up, you know, I like Atlanta. I like what they're doing. I like the Sparks, what they're doing. You've got the Sun rising up. Obviously, you got New York Liberty. They want their rematch against the Aces. It's whether or not the Aces can stay healthy to provide that. But when you look at this and when you look at the box score, and I always go to plus minus of efficiencies, I mean, every starter is just plus. And when you get the Lady Hamilton and Stewart, you know, you could win a ball game 82-75, and that makes sense. You only won the game by 7 points. But when you get over here, Lady Hamilton plus 14, I mean, she's 7 ahead of the game. Okay, so every time she's on the court, you got money in the bank. You're coming over here, you've got Brenna Stewart, who's just got a plus 12. So they're going ahead of the plaque. And then when you get over to the other side of Connecticut Sun, I mean, you want to know who had a tough game? Carrington had a tough game, okay? Obviously, you lose by 7, but you're a minus 15. Harris had a tough game, minus 10. Bonner had a tough game as well. And they got a little help off the bench from Bonham, Mitchell, and Burton. But when you look at the efficiency of the Sun, I mean, they played great basketball. They held their own for the first three quarters. In the fourth quarter, the experience kind of took over for the Liberty. I mean, they're just so seasoned. You know, you're asking yourself, why didn't they win the WNBA championship? And when you look at that now and you get into it, obviously you look at the WNBA standings and who's who or who's doing what. Obviously, you got a situation where you've got the actual Sun are still leading the board. Liberty are chasing right behind them. And again, the Dream, that's a good sleeper coming on the Sky or trying to find their way. Fever 3-9, and of course the Mystics. Now, when you get to the other side, Minnesota's making noise. Seattle Storm's trying to find balance. They want to find out where they can be. And obviously the Aces are just dealing with injuries. And, I mean, you're talking about A'ja Wilson having an MVP season. However, A'ja Wilson can't be the entire team. She's going to need some help, and help as soon as you can. And then you got the Mercury and the Sparks I think the Sparks are the biggest sleeper in the WNBA. I think they're going to rise up. Rakia Jackson, Brink, they're just playing good basketball, and they're getting better. Okay, so when they're challenging teams and they're running what they want to run, folks, for me, it's pretty simple. You'll execute it out. You'll have a scheme. You're going to scheme of what you need to do. Every team's going to have strengths and weaknesses, and now it just falls back in the WNBA to how do you exploit that? How do we get to the point where we can control the tempo and we can also exploit the weaknesses? What do you take? You got to have some post play. You got to have some dead-eye shooters. I mean, that's what the Liberty has. Connecticut Sun's not backing down. They have more scorers and shooters, and they can get downhill and get to the basket. Like I said, they played them good for the first 3 quarters. The Connecticut Sun, they know where they're at now, obviously, and they know where they need to get if they're going to actually succeed and win the WNBA Championship. But this is just how it's going. I mean, the teams are competitive, and you're just looking to find a way. You got the Commissioner's Cup, they're wrapping that up. I mean, there's just a lot going on, but it's going to tell. I mean, we're in the first quarter of the season. Okay, so you played 10 games, you got 40. It's going to find out who can sustain, not be injured, be able to put the best team on the floor, and be rising and peaking at that time that they go into the playoffs, that they just sweep it down and win the WNBA Championship. Is it an easy task? No. Is there competition in the league? Yes. Is it gaining some parity this year? 100%, because the rookies that are coming in are showing and shining out. Okay, the rookies are coming in now, they can shoot the basketball. And I think the whole pyramid of the WNBA, where it's going to land, okay, is going to land to the champion who has the best shooters. Okay, because no matter how you look at it, if you can knock down that shot, and the Liberty guards are doing that, I mean, because at some point, you got a lot of teams trying to play outside-inside basketball. And that's not the way the game is really supposed to play. It's supposed to be inside-out, because you can run it through the 4 or the 5, and they can rotate the ball, and you got open shooters, open spots. And that's what the Liberty present. Liberty doesn't change its game for anybody. And when the Liberty come out and they play this game and they play it to the fulfillment, they're just all about execution. And when you get execution coming in there like the Liberty are doing it, I mean, you're talking about, okay, how many games can we actually win? And do we have to make any adjustments? Because really, I think teams are going to have to adjust to the Liberty, the tempo they play, the defense they play. I mean, like the way they do it. And, you know, you have to look at that and say to yourself, okay, if I got the Liberty can play offense, defense, you got Lainey Hamilton as a two-way player, and they're getting it done on that side, then, you know, I mean, you got Sandy Brondello just running and just enjoying the games. I mean, there's no better feeling when you see your team go out and play great team defense, fall back, execute through on the offense, and they're just getting constantly open looks, because they're making it a requirement for you to play 20 seconds of defense. And if you don't, they're scoring and they're going to run away with it. And that's just the beauty of it. Now, obviously, you got Sandy, Euro coach coming in. I mean, you got ball movement. I mean, you got constant continuity. You're going up and down the floor, and you're playing physical. Okay, so at the end of the day, if you can't match that with the Liberty, and I don't think the Aces can, I think they're shorthanded. I think the Connecticut Sun have a great opportunity. I wouldn't be surprised if the Sparks beat the Liberty, only because the Sparks are kind of the sleeping dog lying there, and they just got so many advantage players that can actually put it on the floor. And if you got a stretch 4 or 5 that can put it on the floor, and that's Brenna Stewart, that's her big advantage. Man, it makes you play defense, and it's not easy to do that. And then on top of that, they're controlling the transition defense. So it's really a different game for the Liberty. Obviously, their goal is to win the championship. They've fallen short, and they're going to do what they have to do to get there this year, and that's their entire team focus. So that's what you got. This is the Money Mike Syndicated Radio Podcast. We are powered up by Fanatics, and we're just letting you know that WNBA, who's standing out, who's shining. I like the Liberty. I like the Connecticut Sun. I like going in there with the LA Sparks, the Atlanta Dream. I mean, these are teams that can go in there and beat each other, okay? And the parity is what's going to send the WNBA over the top. So you keep, we appreciate it. All things are possible to those who believe. Money Mike Syndicated Radio Podcast. We're powered up by Fanatics.
And having some trouble with this one. Jones into the paint, spins. Jonquel Jones showing you all the skills.